Hello and welcome to another review. To preface the video, it's very hot in the UK right now. I've just been for a walk, so if I look like I'm fucking dying, it's because I am. Today we're just going to be doing a nice, easy review again of Assassin's Apprentice by Hobb, the first book in the Farseer trilogy, and I believe there's a fuck ton more books, but I don't really know. So this follows, from the first person perspective, in the past tense, Fitz, as he's growing up in this kingdom and as the prince's bastard, and he's having to live with people judging him and how he fits into society, and you're watching his growth from a young child to early manhood.
Gotcha, you cross
bastard. The best way I can sum up this book is, there is a nice progression at the beginning where he goes from, he doesn't have a name because he's a bastard, no one's given him a name. And he goes from having an uncapitalised Fitz as his name, to people then start referring to him as a capitalised F. And that's the only nice thing that happens to him in the entire fucking book. I know people say that Fitz is a character that is just a fucking punching bag. The whole point of the series is just what's Hobb gonna, how's she gonna fuck with him this week? I did not expect this level of everyone fucking just beating on this kid. Everything that could possibly go wrong just constantly goes wrong. And I don't even think that's a goddamn spoiler. Like, it's brutal. It comes to a place where it not only borders on misery porn, it just is misery porn. Like, I felt myself falling into a depressive slump whilst reading it. Like, I would finish chapters and genuinely think this, even though it's a terrible thing. I was like, if Fitz killed himself at the end of this chapter, I would sympathise and understand why he did it. Because there's no out for the kid. Like, it's not like he's like, oh, I'll just move away, or, oh, things will change as I get older. Nah, he's growing up. Everyone's a cunt. So to get into the actual positives of the book, the dialogue is probably my highlight. I really enjoyed everyone's interactions. The political intrigue of this world was very interesting. I didn't know how the book ran at first, so I didn't realise the whole book was going to be the progression of him growing up, because the book's told from the first person perspective in past tense. So I thought that at the start of the book it was going to kind of be like, oh, this is me growing up and now I'm old. Whereas it fully is just a progression. The whole book is him just growing up. So that's a good thing to know before going in. Whereas I was very confused, where I was like, are we going to read about a 10-year-old for 150 pages? And you are. So everything to do with the world building, everything to do with the characters, I really enjoyed. My main problem comes down to probably the use of the first person in the past tense, because there's a real disconnect between reading a first person or in the present tense, where you're feeling someone's emotions, and through someone telling an experience of what they had. And so I did feel a disconnect where it's like, I'm not exactly feeling the emotions he's feeling at this point. I'm feeling him describe the emotions, and he's making no commentary on himself. I feel like it's gonna have more relevance later on. It's gonna feel more cathartic. But for the first read of the first book, I did kind of wish that it was present tense. And then my big criticism would be that it was almost unnecessarily miserable. I think of, when I was trying to get it in my head, because I was thinking this book's fucking miserable, like, I'm really enjoying it, but I feel like shit whilst reading it. And I was thinking about the Stormlight Archive, and of course the Way of Kings, you're reading from Kaladin, and it's fucking depressing. And it's meant to be. But the ending of that book has a catharsis that makes it all worthwhile. Whereas because this is the first book in a trilogy, it doesn't. It kind of ends on a very exciting note that made me want to keep reading. I do plan on reading the rest of the trilogy. But it doesn't have that catharsis that something like Stormlight Archive has. And it's also, most other books that have kind of one element that's really depressing will lighten it with other POVs, most likely. Whereas this, because it's a single POV, it's... How long is this book? 460 pages of depression fuel. There's no other way to describe it than depression fuel. I constantly felt bad for him. And I know that's the point. And I know it's just me. But it was testing me, it was getting to me. And so that would be my main opinions on the book. I just think it's worthwhile pointing out that I know I'm harking on about the fact that it is depressing, but I do think it's a worthwhile thing to know about, because if you're already in a kind of bad place, this is not the book for you. Like, I made the mistake of, because I'd agreed to a buddy read with Grace, who I imagine will also have a video on this, so make sure to watch Grace's video as well. I was already kind of like, oh, I've not been feeling the best the last couple of days. And then it's like, oh, now you've got, because you're buddy reading it, you're not flying through it, you're reading a certain amount per day. And even that I was struggling with, to be honest with you. Grace can attest to the fact that I was struggling. It really burrowed into me to the point I was like, this is really testing me. So just beware. But if being miserable gets your rocks off, then this is the book for you. And so if you have enjoyed my sweaty, disgusting self talk about this fucking book, then make sure to like, leave a comment saying you look like a goddamn disgusting pig, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you to everyone that watched my stupid ass Stormlight skit. That was very nice. And I hope you stick around. Have a nice day.